in surprise and joy. Okay, Jordan. Jordan, this is my friend, Reba. Jordan turned to face her, flashing a bright, perfectly white smile. He extended a strong, calloused hand. Hey, I am Jordan. Reba shook his hand, feeling the firm grip of someone who spent his life lifting weights. I am Reba, she replied, trying to sound casual. So, you going to join us, Reba? Jordan asked, gesturing toward the open mat space. Reba took a step back, shaking her head vigorously. Oh, I do not know. I just think that me and my fellows will just watch for a while. She patted her chest awkwardly again, immediately regretting her choice of words. Jordan chuckled, completely unfazed by her awkwardness. Well, Reba, you are not going to get into shape by just watching. You need to sweat a little. Yeah, but you guys got to understand, it has been a while since I have been in a gym like this, and I do not think. Reba started to make excuses, desperate to maintain her role as an observer rather than a participant. Hello, there, Jordan interrupted gently, turning his attention back to Barbara Jean. He motioned for her to lie down on the blue exercise mat. Barbara Jean, you really are getting limber. Barbara Jean lay down on her back, stretching her arms above her head. Remember when you could not put your leg over my head? Jordan asked, his voice entirely focused on her physical progress. Reba gasped quietly, her eyes widening in horror at the implication of the statement. Remember when I did not want to? Barbara Jean shot back playfully, laughing at the memory. Jordan knelt beside her, taking hold of her right leg. He slowly began to push it upward and backward, stretching her hamstring with practiced precision. The position, to an outsider lacking context, looked incredibly intimate and compromising. Reba felt a flush of heat rise in her cheeks. She looked around the gym, wondering if anyone else was witnessing this display. Is that legal? Reba stammered, her voice tight with anxiety. I mean, necessary? Jordan looked up at her, his expression serious and professional. It is critical to stretch the muscles out before you exercise them. He pushed Barbara Jean's leg a little further. Yeah, otherwise you could really hurt something. Turn over, Jordan instructed Barbara Jean softly. Barbara Jean rolled onto her stomach, completely trusting his guidance. Jordan looked at Reba, motioning for her to pay close attention. Reba, you need to watch this one. This one is my favorite. Reba swallowed hard, dreading what was coming next. She felt like an intruder, witnessing something she was never meant to see. Jordan placed his hands firmly on Barbara Jean's lower back, pushing down gently while pulling her arms backward. All right, now this gives a good stretch to the back and chest muscles. He held the position, his face entirely focused on her form. Really should do this once a day. Barbara Jean let out a soft groan of exertion mixed with relief. Oh, I would do it all day if I could, she murmured, her eyes closed in contentment. Reba could not take it anymore. The combination of the heat, the noise, and the highly suggestive visual in front of her was too much. She began to fan her face with her hand, feeling completely overwhelmed. You know, is this one of these gyms that has the heat on real high? I am sweating. Jordan released Barbara Jean's arms and stood up, clapping his hands together briskly. Okay, oh wow, time for some weightlifting. Reba let out a massive sigh of relief. Oh good, that is enough of that stretching. She felt like she had narrowly escaped a very dangerous situation. Hello. Okay, knock this out. Yeah, okay. All right. Reba babbled nervously, backing away from the mat. She needed to get out of there. She had seen enough to confirm Brock's worst fears, even if her own logical mind was trying to find a more innocent explanation. You know, I think I have seen enough. Jordan walked over to her, wiping a bead of sweat from his forehead with a towel. So, what do you think? You have any interest in getting a personal trainer? He asked, pitching his services with practiced ease. Reba looked at him, feeling a surge of protective anger toward Brock. "Only if he takes me out to dinner first," she replied sharply, her tone laced with sarcasm. Barbara Jean sat up on the mat, looking at Reba with genuine confusion. "Are you sure, Reba? Seriously, this is one of the best relationships I have ever had." The word relationships echoed in Reba's mind like a gunshot. It was the final nail in the coffin of innocence. "Oh," Reba said softly, her heart aching for the impending destruction of her family unit. I think Jordan has his hands full with you." She turned to leave, but Jordan stopped her with a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Oh, you are a beginner, Reba. You will start with Dot." He turned and shouted across the loud, echoing room. "Dot!" From the shadows near the free weights area, a massive, incredibly muscular woman emerged. She had shoulders the size of boulders and a scowl that could melt steel. She stomped over to them, the floor seemingly shaking with every step. "Yeah," Dot barked, her voice deep and intimidating. Jordan gestured toward Reba, completely oblivious to the terror radiating from her. "This is Reba. She seems a little tense. I would spend some extra time on the stretching." Dot cracked her knuckles, a sound like dry branches snapping. She looked Reba up and down with predatory intensity. "Hey!" Dot grunted. She pointed a thick, calloused finger at the floor. "Get down there." Reba did not hesitate. She turned and sprinted toward the exit, ignoring the burning in her lungs and the confused shouts behind her. She pushed through the double glass doors, gasping for the fresh, unair-conditioned air of the parking lot. She had survived the gym, but she now carried a terrible burden of knowledge back to her home. The drive back to the house felt entirely too short. Reba sat in her car in the driveway for a long moment, gripping the steering wheel until her knuckles turned white. She had to tell Brock what she had seen. She had to break the news that his fears were likely justified, based on the highly intimate stretching routine and Barbara Jean's own admission of it being her best relationship. She walked into the house, her face pale and drawn. Brock was waiting in the living room, pacing back and forth like a caged animal. The moment he saw her, he stopped, his eyes wide with desperate anticipation. "So, did you see him?" Brock demanded, rushing over to her. "What is he like? Is he little? Could I take him?" He raised his fists in a weak, defensive posture, his insecurity manifesting as false bravado. Reba sighed deeply, dropping her purse onto a side table. She looked at Brock, feeling a profound sense of pity. "He is big, but he is not as big as Dot," she stated. The image of the terrifying female trainer still burned into her retinas. Brock frowned, confused by the reference. "So, what do you think? Is there something going on there?" He stepped closer, hanging onto her every word. Reba took a deep breath, trying to find the gentlest way to deliver the blow. "Look, Brock, I was hoping that I could go down to the gym and check things out and come back and tell you that there is nothing to worry about. But..." "That is it," Brock interrupted, his worst fears confirmed. He turned away, throwing his hands up in the air. "Reba, come on," Brock pleaded, wanting the details but dreading them at the same time. "Okay," Reba continued softly. "I do not know if they are having an affair or not, but if they keep working out like that, they might be having a baby." She used humor as a shield, but the message was clear. The physical intimacy she had witnessed was completely inappropriate for a professional setting. Brock sank onto the couch, burying his face in his hands. "Man, I knew there was something going on." Before Reba could offer any comfort, the front door swung open. Barbara Jean breezed into the room, fresh from the gym, glowing with health and happiness. She was completely unaware of the devastating storm brewing in her living room. "Hey, everybody," Barbara Jean sang out cheerfully. "I am here, and I am saying well." "Oh, hi, honey," Brock said, his voice flat and devoid of any warmth. He did not look up from his hands. Barbara Jean stopped, sensing the heavy atmosphere. She looked at Brock, then at Reba,